JMO here, Toyota pickup guy. We're gonna kind of not do Toyota pickup guy, but we're gonna do SolidWorks guy. Just simple stuff to start with. That way we can understand how it all works. This is as much as a teaching thing as it is as a learning thing, because the further you get in something, you want to teach it so you really nail down what you've learned. So here we go. I'm gonna start with like simple shapes because most things in SolidWorks are built off of simple shapes. So with that in mind, the box is pretty simple. This is a drawing view. You'll see this a lot in engineering and stuff like that. So front view, top view, right view normally will go over here, but with a box or an object that no matter the top view or the front view looks the same, you'll see some objects like that, the symmetry like that. You don't need to show it because we already have height, length, and width, or length and width depending on your X and Y axis for your box. So let's pop over to SolidWorks. I'm not going to go in depth and tell you how to get SolidWorks to download it. That you can figure out yourself. This is basically like how to use it. Um, Down here, you're always going to pick in the very beginning what your dimension measurements are. So we're going to be in millimeters because that's what our drawing called for, MMGS. And I made that drawing, and I'm going to make all these, pull them from books and things and ideas, and this one's just an idea. So going off our drawing, first front plane, there's three different ways you can really make this box. You can do line by line, which is tedious, and I don't suggest, and you can already see that it takes a little bit of time to put each line it up, throw in the dimension. You're going to get an error because it's already fully defined. Fully defined will be something we talk about more, but essentially it means all of your lines and marks are related to the origin point by a set dimension. So we're going to erase that box because that's not the way we want to do this. We're going to do a rectangle tool because what is a box but a rectangle? Boom, 100 by 100. So you'll notice when you do boxes like that, when you do 100 by 100, it won't display the second dimension because it's making them all perpendicular instead of the 100, and it's set at the origin, so it's fully defined. And you'll see this minus sign when you exit the sketch disappear. So two ways you can do this. You could be in the sketch, edit the sketch, and now you're in the sketch, and you see this kind of pop up here to let you know you're in the sketch. You could go to features here and extrude it, and we can go 100. And like I mentioned earlier, depending on how your X, Y, and Z looks from your sketch, this is kind of important. Your dimension you're going to extrude into. I'm going to take our box to be like that and 100 degrees outwards because that's kind of what I see in my mind is that isometric. So when we go isometric here, it looks just like our image. So simple things like that, simple tool. We've learned a few things, lines, rectangle tool, and there's a couple different ways you can use that rectangle tool we'll get into later on. The corner one was easiest for this one. That will, and we'll talk about mass and properties more, change your center of mass, which is really important. So how we have it now, our origin's at that bottom left corner. You see that little dot that appears when I go over origin. That means our center of mass is the weights are off in that direction from our X, Y, and Z points. So if we would have gone in here and changed this to say be a center point triangle, or sorry, a center point rectangle, we'll see those center of masses zero out because the center will be at the center. I would have to do one change though with our extrusion to fully center them out. And if you know a little bit about SolidWorks, you'll know what I mean. That's that mid-plane extrusion versus the blind. You can see our z-axis is at minus 50 for the center of mass, and that's due to this extrusion that we did. And that should make sense because we sent the extrusion out one direction when our origin point was here. But if we mid-planed it, see how that kind of shifts everything? Check our mass properties again. We see everything zeroes out. And this is in, I believe, the density of water to start out with if you don't change it. So the mass, 100 by 100 by 100 cube filled with water would weigh 1,000 grams. We can change that in here. And I have added some of these things to these bars. You might not see these things. We can go over that later. I can link a video on how to get them there because they are helpful to have them right there. Right click, edit material, and we can change this to, let's say, like 1060 alloy aluminum. Now we can see those properties change. It's pretty cool. All right, that's going to be the first video, less than 5 minutes. This, when you first start making a box, could take up to 5 or 10 minutes just to figure out how to use the different things. But you could intuitively figure out how to make a box. But that was just showing you all the different ways you could, the center of masses, a little bit about the material that you could use. All right, be looking out for the next one. I believe what I have set up is, for basic shapes, a cylinder. So we'll do that next. Thanks.